Hello and welcome to Life Matters, the program where we engage life issues with critical thinking and biblical worldview. I'm Toni Clark, the Executive Director of Assure Women's Center. Assure exists to help women with unplanned pregnancies take the first step to life. Today we're talking about the heart of volunteering and the difference it makes in the lives of women and families. I'm joined today by Catherine Stein, a volunteer receptionist at Assure's West Omaha location, and Doreena Smith, one of our dedicated parenting teachers. Ladies, thank you for joining me today.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely. All right, we're going to discuss your experiences and highlight the roles that volunteers play and let our listeners know how they can get involved. So let's dive in. Catherine, you've been welcoming clients at Assure for nearly 10 years. What first inspired you to volunteer as a receptionist?
Well, we were kind of involved just on a support level with Assure for a long time, way back when. And I kind of reached a different season of my life, or our last went off to college, and thought, well, I just kind of want to get my feet in the water a little bit deeper. And so I was invited originally to join the guild, and went through some different things with that over the course of a couple of years. And then they opened in West Omaha. And at that point in time, I thought, well, let me check that out. So I went with Chris and went through the West Omaha office and decided it was the time. So they took me, and I'm a receptionist.
Yeah, we took you. We thank you.
I love it.
Good. Doreena, you've been a parenting teacher for some time now, but I know you're also active in ministry and mentoring. What led you to take on this role with Assure?
Well, for one thing, I wanted to be able to contribute some kind of way with pro-abortion. So that was very important to me. And so being able to be a teacher, I've always wanted to be a teacher. So this was an opportunity for me to share that ability with others. Plus, I like being able to impart knowledge that's been given to me.
Mm-hmm. Good. So most people don't know this, but you and your husband, Pastor Mark, you pastor a church, and I'm just always encouraged by the emails or the texts that you and Pastor Mark will send me about pro-life issues. So I certainly appreciate your stand in what you guys do in our community for the pro-life community as well.
Thank you.
So every volunteer role is so important, and one of the roles that we haven't mentioned yet is our patient advocate. This is the person who walks with the woman through her pregnancy appointment, providing emotional support and practical guidance. Catherine, as a receptionist, you often see the start of a patient's journey. Can you share what happens after a woman leaves the lobby and goes to her medical appointment with her advocate?
Well, the advocate, of course, welcomes her, takes her back. There's certain steps that they take. They kind of sit them down, discuss their anything from their concerns of finances or support. Do they have any family support, friend support, that type of thing. Then they move into a spiritual aspect of it, and they present to them the different options. They give them clear information regarding all that. And then from there, my understanding is they go into the medical end of things, but they do pregnancy tests. They do some STD testing. And like I said, she just kind of takes their hand, puts her arm around them and walks them through, kind of sometimes a really scary time. Mm-hmm. So I think they just really care for the women. So
Absolutely.
Beginning to end.
So Catherine is I'm just saying minimalizes her role as a receptionist, but your face is the first face that people see when they come in the office. And so I'm sure you want them to feel welcome. And so that's one of the things that we pray for as a staff, that those girls, when they come in, they feel welcome, they feel warm. And having a friendly receptionist that greets them certainly does that. So I can't thank you enough for being that first face out west for those girls that come in.
Pleasure.
Yeah. And so the advocate, we don't have an advocate on our program today, but that is a huge role, because that advocate role actually walks alongside that patient for the entire appointment, except for when she's in the medical portion. So it's a joy to walk alongside those girls when they are at their lowest point and thinking they need to end their pregnancy. So Doreena, teaching parenting classes is such a meaningful role. What do you find most rewarding about teaching moms as they prepare for parenthood?
Well, one thing that I enjoy the interaction.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the ladies told me that she was really blessed by the fact that I had been through some of the things that they go through. And so that was rewarding to me because it's like my life wasn't in vain. Even some of the mistakes that I had made, I could help them and impart wisdom to them. So, yeah, I enjoy it.
Yeah, good, good. Sometimes I think this generation thinks they don't need help, but I think when they end up coming to a parenting class, they realize I don't know everything. It's not as simple as just Googling. And so sometimes it's really good to have someone that they can chit chat with, or just a real person they can touch, or, it's not Google, it's Dorena. So that's good. So, Catherine, like I said, you're the first face many women see when they first come into the center. What's the most fulfilling part of being that welcoming presence for clients for you?
Well, when they walk through the door, it's you get every different kind of reaction, and some of them are anything from just, I mean, so nervous and so um, unsure of what's going to happen once they, cross that door. And then you get other reactions. Like some people are very kind of almost hard. So I think it's just, for me, it's just welcoming them and trying to, if they're nervous or if they're concerned, just, kind of assure them that we're there to help them with whatever the circumstances are, and to get a little bit of information from them, give them some information, basic information about us, and just kind of let them know that they're welcome, and let them know that we're here to help them in any and every measure that we can, and to just make sure that they're off to a good start, to, for the appointment.
Good, good. Thank you. So sometimes the work can be challenging. Think we see that as a staff as well, when those girls are coming in and we know that perhaps they have an abortion scheduled, but you all get a chance to see, particularly you, Doreen, and get a chance to see their lives. And sometimes trying to walk through those challenges. How do you navigate those moments where the needs of the women you serve feel overwhelming?
You know what? To really be honest with you, I don't really get overwhelmed by it, because I just enjoy it so much. And then at the same time, I'm praying within my head,
Yes.
Because some of the questions that they're asking, I know within myself, I don't have the answers. And so usually I'm asking God, okay, how do I respond to this person? Because it's important that you give them the right information and that they know that you actually care about them. And so I don't usually get overwhelmed with it.
Good. Oh, good, good. Well, you kind of said it by prayer, power of prayer.
Right.
That's
Right.
a powerful thing. Powerful thing. Catherine, what about you? When you see someone walking in carrying a heavy burden, how do you keep your perspective and stay positive?
Well, I think, my perspective has kind of changed so much since working literally in the office and being, a part of the whole process, in the fact that, I think our heart is to, for pro-life. But when these women walk in, it's like I all of a sudden have the reality that this is a life right here in front of me. And I mean, I kind of like that, my heart goes out, you pray, I try to pray beforehand, but I never know who's coming through the door, and they're right there. And so I think I do just try to present a welcoming and warm, experience for them, because like I said, sometimes these women you could just see they're a little overwhelmed, and they are, she said, you don't get overwhelmed. I think these women do sometimes. And I think it's just really, there's so many questions in their head, and I don't have them, but I feel like, we're going to do the best we can for you. And I just try to make them feel like we're here for you.
Absolutely. So kind of good, good. And you're right. Those patients or the clients that come in for parenting classes, sometimes they are overwhelmed and they don't necessarily realize perhaps how overwhelmed they are, which is why it's so important that we provide that safe place for them that's peaceful, that they feel comfortable. And so the power of prayer really helps. And I'd say for anyone that's listening, you may not be a volunteer, but you can certainly pray for the girls that come into our offices, whether it's coming for a pregnancy test or whether it's coming for a parenting class. That's one way that we all can be involved. So true. Good. One of the things I love about Assure is a sense of community among volunteers and staff. Catherine, how have the relationships you've built here impacted you personally?
Well, I can't say enough for the women that I work with. I mean, it's just, and I'm not just saying this, I really mean that from my heart. I've encountered some of the most quality, professional, caring, servant-hearted women that I've run across, throughout the years. And I become friends with many of them. I've rekindled some old friendships with people that I've known throughout the years. And it's just really been a blessing for me.
Good.
Thank you. I enjoy them all.
Good. Doreen, now you work closely with other volunteers and staff as well, and even the moms in our classes. How would you describe the sense of community at Assure?
Well, let me just say this. I really, it's such a positive atmosphere. And so even if you come in with something, you don't leave that way because everybody, it just seems so uplifting, and so I just think that it's kind of like a family unit, and everybody just, the love of Christ is so evident at Assure, and I'm drawn to that. So I enjoy it.
Good. Well, that's good to hear, especially being executive director that you often. It's one thing for me to say, oh, we have the Assure family, but it's something that does my heart glad to hear you all as volunteers say that there's a family environment here and that you love coming to work or coming to volunteer here. So thank you so much.
Even I don't mean to interrupt, but even last night they did a food night because one of the nurses it was for her birthday and she was gonna be gone. They really care about each other. I just really sense that. So yeah.
Oh, good. Thank you. So that sense of unity and support is so important. How do you think it strengthens the care that we provide for our clients?
I would have to say now, without that environment, I wouldn't even want to be around, to be honest. And so if you have other people coming in and they see that care exists like that, they're going to want to be a part of that because they see that we all care for one another. So that gives kind of an insight on what type of care that they're going to receive.
Okay.
Right. And I think I agree with that. I think that there's a sense of these women want to be there. It's not a job. It's really, they have hearts for the women coming through there, for the children that they're carrying, but it's also they really genuinely care for each other. And I agree with you. It's just if there is a community sense, and you can just see that they enjoy it. Enjoy it in the sense that they're happy to be there. They're happy to be serving, and it's clocking in and clocking out.
Right.
And I'll probably add to that, because we deal with such heavy issues, you really have to have that. If you dealt with heavy issues and you didn't enjoy the people you work with, it would be easy to just say, I think I'm done. But when you love the people you work with, love the volunteers, love the staff, love the girls, it just makes it, I won't say easy, but it makes you more able to push through those tough times. Sounds true. Thank you again.
Well, can I say that it trickles down from the head?
I agree.
You're making me blush. So I'd like to catch anyone up who may be joining us. Life Matters is the program where we engage life issues with critical thinking and a biblical worldview. And it is a ministry of Assure Women's Center. I'm Toni Clark, Executive Director of Assure. Assure Women's Center is a nationally recognized pro-life pregnancy center based in Omaha, Nebraska. Last year, Assure served over 1,700 patients, the vast majority of them being at high risk for abortion, and 76% of those with positive pregnancies chose life for their unborn babies. January is Sanctity of Human Life Month, and if you would like to invite a speaker from Assure to share at your church or community gathering, you can request a guest speaker or free resources for you to share by emailing us at lifematters@assureomaha.com or visit us at firststeptolife.com. Today, we're talking about the heart of volunteering and the difference it makes in the lives of women and families. I'm joined by Catherine Stein, a volunteer receptionist at Assure's West Omaha location, and Doreena Smith, one of our dedicated parenting teachers. Ladies, thank you again for joining me today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So, Catherine, you've seen so many women walk through our doors over the years. Is there a moment or story that stands out to you as especially meaningful?
There is a few, but one that I will always, I've shared this with different people, that we had a patient come in, and she was like that, you could see she just was carrying the weight of the world on her shoulders, or so appeared. And the advocate took her back, and through the course of the whole thing, the advocate, Joyce, shared with me that she had expressed, that she had previously had an abortion, and she didn't know what to do this time around, but felt the condemnation, and because of her faith base or what have you, she felt like, I'm going to hell or whatever, and Joyce shared with her, that's not true. There's forgiveness in Christ. And she shared the gospel message with her. Well, long story short, this woman received it. She left, and we worked together every Monday evening. And so the next Monday she came back. She was going to parent. She'd received the truth of the gospel, and just, it was just a whole different, countenance when she walked through the door. But the very tragic part of it is, but it's kind of a bittersweet thing. She was then a week, I think it was even maybe that week, but within the week anyway, she and her, the baby's father, I don't know if they were married or not, I can't say, but they both died in a house fire.
Mm.
And I remember discussing it with Joyce, and it was like, but while that's so tragic, the fact that she came in under condemnation, not knowing what to do, I said, she left, and you saved not one life, but 2 lives through sharing the gospel. And I don't know. I'll always remember that, because I just thought that was the heart of who we are. We want to love these women, and the children is obviously saved the life of the baby. But it was just, I will always remember that. I just thought, I don't know, just impacted me greatly.
Absolutely. I remember that.
You remember
I think that's something that people don't always realize. Yeah, we want to, rescue that mom and that baby from abortion, but we also want to be able to share the gospel with them. And so she lost her life, but because she accepted Christ, she has eternal life.
Eternal life.
So
it's like so bittersweet. It was like awesome.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Thank you for sharing that.
Wonderful. You bet.
Doreena, what about you? Is there a client or experience that has stayed with you and reminds you of the impact of what you do?
Wow. There's, so many that, because in our class, you have quite a few people in the class. But one of the things that kind of stood out to me was that we were just kind of having a discussion and everything. And it almost seemed like it was just God set up. Because there was some, that weren't missing. And sometimes we have men in our classes. Well, that particular day, there was no men, in the class. And we had got into some discussions that were really personal. And, just the fact that they felt comfortable enough to open up like that and were able to share something that will change the dynamics of their lives. So that's important. And they allow me to pray with them.
Okay.
And so yes.
Good. Those stories are such a powerful reminder of why we do this work. How do those moments encourage you to keep serving even on the hard days?
I can't say. I'm not trying to make it seem like I don't have hard days or I don't get overwhelmed or anything like that. But it's just the fact that I'm doing what I enjoy doing. And so I just don't feel that way when I'm doing that because I enjoy it.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I would agree with that and echo what you had to say. I look forward to going in, to my shift, and I really, like I said, I don't know. I feel like we're making an impact. We're touching lives, and again, we are there with the pro-life message, but I really believe we're embracing the lives of these women and beyond that. Even their families sometimes, but I feel like to me, it's making a little bit of a difference. It might be very minor, but it's a little bit I like I said, for me, it blesses me probably more than, I had anticipated it, number one, but it's just, I don't know. Like I said, I feel like it's just a well-oiled machine that just seems like it's just, like I said, touching and saving lives. So.
Well, Catherine, you said you had several stories. Would you be willing to share another one?
Well, one, didn't end maybe quite so great. I don't know how it ended actually, but I remember this little couple came in. This was right after I first started to be the receptionist, and I was kind of new to the whole thing. So this young couple came in and they had this little cute, sweet little, probably about 2-year-old little girl. And the mom, of course, went back, and I'm watching the dad the whole time, from the receptionist position. And he's just loving on this little girl. And just, I thought, wow, what a great dad, And a lot of people come to Assure for pregnancy test, and they have a family, so on and so forth. But at the end of the whole patient appointment, my understanding was that and we prayed for her, is that she went back there and shared that, they were looking to abort.
Mm.
And my heart was just like, I thought, I can't believe this. I cannot believe that this couple who are so loving to this little child, but it was a financial thing. We weren't prepared for this. I mean, there were just things that they shared that that's their reality. And that's where I say they get overwhelmed sometimes. And I just remember thinking to myself, Lord, I don't understand this, because you couldn't be more loving to this little child. This child was so happy. Anyway, that's just another one that sticks in my mind as kind of it's perplexing, but it is a reality. So
It absolutely is a reality, and it kind of speaks to our patient process. That volunteer advocate is able to come alongside them, and sometimes our patient process just allows them to slow down. So finances might be an issue, but the time that they spend with the advocate is kind of checking off things that are issues for them.
Right.
It gives them time to say, well, maybe I do have more support than
Right.
Than I need. So that advocate will ask them, what kind of support do you have? Who will support you if you carry the term? Or who will support you if you choose to abort? And so I think it allows that patient to just slow down and hear themselves say,
Right.
I have more support than I think I do. And so, once again, that sometimes we don't know the end of the story.
I don't know the end of the story, but I do know, like I said, I've seen this so often to where it seems like the patient will come in with one perspective and determined to do one thing. But once they go through the process with the advocate and in medical with the ultrasound, I have seen hearts changed like just that quickly. So I don't know the end of the story there.
Yeah.
But I just, I just was a little.
Yeah. Speaking of not knowing the end of the story, I said it earlier, another way that people can help us is by praying. And so we'll send out a prayer list, a prayer email, typically on Mondays, and it'll have some of our patient stories that girls that either have abortion scheduled. So that's another way that people can get involved. You may not think of that as a volunteer position, but it really is. And so just those prayers, because sometimes we don't know the end result. We know what they told us the last time they were here,
Right.
but unless, they allow us to continue to reach out to them and continue to follow up with them, sometimes we don't know. So,
Right.
Yeah, good. One of the reasons we're having this conversation today is to encourage others to consider volunteering. Catherine, what would you say to someone who might be thinking about volunteering at Assure or another pregnancy help organization, but isn't sure they have the right skills?
Well, I'm here. I think I think you just have to have a heart for the unborn. And I think you have to have a heart just for people in general, just have a heart and you want to serve. And it's a wonder. I can't encourage people enough. And sometimes I feel like I'm a walking commercial for Assure, because if people ask me about it, I just tell them I only have such a good experience. And I'm talking forever, even before I was volunteering, just the organization itself. But it really is a wonderful opportunity, I think, for people to get involved, to be a part. And like I said, the blessing is yours. I don't know how else to say it. I have nothing but positive. I've never had anything other than a positive sense from it. So
Good, thank you. So Doreena, not everyone can be a volunteer, but there are some other ways to support Assure. What would you suggest for those who want to get involved in other ways?
Well, first of all, I want to say that what you sow, you reap.
Oh.
And personally, I do pray. I'm a part of the prayer thing, and that's kind of how I got started. And so I would suggest that you just come do a tour.
Oh, there you go.
And that's what I did. And I saw all the opportunities that were out there and one that fit me. And so, so that's kind of how I got involved. And that's what I would encourage others to do, to come and take the tour, find out as much information as you can about what Assure is doing, and then put your heart into it and just do what you can do. And like I said, sow something into the community and you will reap. And Assure, I would say, is definitely a place that is an excellent place to start. Let me just say it like that.
Well, we agree. Well, thank you. No, I did not pay her to say those things. Didn't she, Catherine, to say those things either? So thank you. So you mentioned tours, and our tours, we schedule those tours. They'll be available on our website. We have a variety of positions that people can fill as volunteers. So for anyone listening who feels called to serve, Assure has a variety of volunteer opportunities, from receptionists like Catherine to parenting classes like Doreena, and patient advocates who walk alongside women in their appointments. There's a role for everyone. If you're interested, you can visit our website at firststeptolife.com to learn more and apply to volunteer. No matter your time or talents, there's a way to make a difference, whether it's through volunteering, prayer, or financial support. And again, if you would like to invite a speaker from Assure to share at your church or community gathering for Sanctity of Human Life Month, you can request a guest speaker or free resources for you to share by emailing us at lifematters@assureomaha.com or visit us at firststeptolife.com. Catherine and Doreena, thank you so much for sharing your experiences and your hearts today. To our listeners, if you've been inspired, I encourage you to consider how you might get involved with Assure or pregnancy help organization in your community. And I want to thank you again for joining us on Life Matters this week. I'm Toni Clark. Life Matters is an educational outreach resource of Assure Women's Center in Omaha, Nebraska. Assure is helping women with unplanned pregnancies take the first step to life. To learn more about the ministry of Assure, visit firststeptolife.com. That's firststeptolife.com. There you can learn about the many services we provide, including how we come alongside abortion-minded mothers and empower women to choose life for her and her baby, as well as find our most current broadcasts and all of our past episodes. You can also find information on our website about how you can partner with us in the life-saving work of Assure. Through your generous support, we can continue to save babies in Nebraska while advancing the cause of life around the world. Thanks for listening to Life Matters. Join us again next week at the same time, right here on Bot Radio Network.